Hi, I'm Danny Meisinger, and I'm here at my pottery, Spinning Earth Pottery, and I'm going to be throwing what I call my two-finger mug right now. I do other handles that have two fingers, but I just happen to call this one my two-finger mug. Mostly because I came up with it about the time I started making a one-finger mug, and that might be why it's called this. So here we go. I have other videos in my Patreon site talking about centering clay and pulling a cylinder and things like that, so I'm not going to really rehash all of that. I'm going to get right to the form. You can go back and watch those for what they are. Now, what I do is when I go to open this, I'm going to have my thumb right here, and I've got kind of a cone shape in there right now, about like that. And when I open this, I'm going to push down and then pull that finger into my thumb and then bring it right on up the side. When I'm talking, it doesn't work as well as when I'm just doing it. Usually get a little more than that. We're going to go again. And I got an air bubble. Okay, so got that going. I'm going to gather this in because this one's a little taller than it is wide, and I don't like this form when I lose it to the width, which I'll do sometimes. So I'm going to undercut it a little bit on the outside and then come straight up. Okay, and now this next pull is going to be more about putting the shape into it, and to do that I'll let some water go down on the inside, and I'm going to push out right here, and I'm going to take my rib and I'm going to just scrum it across the top right there, and I want to actually leave that little bit of a spiral. I kind of like what that does, and then I'm going to pull right into that rib, right up the side of the pot, and into the corner of the rib up here, and drag it away just a hair. Take my rib and put that curve into it. Now this thing's a little funny because I stopped my rhythm to talk, and so I got to go back and fix some stuff that isn't quite right. I want this belly to be more balanced, and I'm a little wide on my top as well. It's looking much more balanced, a lot better. Got a little goober in there. Can't have that. Scratch a little clay out of there so we can cut it in half. I got a feeling this one could be a little bit heavy on the bottom, but we'll see. Come on. There we go. So what that enables me to do on this piece, with that push out, push in, this needs nothing. I don't need to trim this at all. It's uniform all the way from top to bottom with all that curve going on. And it's almost like this piece I feel like sometimes it throws itself. But that's working pretty good. Let's do another one. This is thrown from a 1 pound ball of clay. This is B-Mix. This happens to be cone 10. I do cone 10 and cone 6. White, red. I got too many things going on. And I got a little lump in there. I'm going to go again. I normally only cone the clay one time if everything feels right. And we're good now, I think. Okay, so once again, I've got that sort of cone shape. And what I'll do a lot of times, I'm supporting and holding myself steady with this right hand around the clay. And my thumb is right here and my hand goes over that thumb. Don't know when I came up with this, it just happened. And it allows support, and I pull that thumb right up the palm of my hand. Right like that. Before I was doing it more open, trying to let you see everything that was happening as it was happening. And now you can see what is happening behind the scenes. It's a little bit more efficient, wouldn't you say? Remember I said I was a little short on myself? That's usually what I get from my open. So get a little water on the inside. I'm going to undercut and come back out just a hair on this one. Make a nice pull. My rib. Once again, I'm gonna push out right there. Scrum across the top. Get that foot just the way I like it. Make a pull into the rib. Right up to that point. Nice little curve. Forgot to drag my rib, didn't I? This kind of marries. I like what these two things do right here. Nice place for glaze to break. This is, by the way, a makeup sponge. This is for cleanup, final cleanup, I should say. I haven't found anything better, and you can get the cheap ones at the cheap stores. This one is from Nordstrom's, and these are the Cadillac of makeup sponges. I also like them because it's fun to go to the counter at Nordstrom's, and me being the scruffy old Potter guy goes in there and ask the ladies who are done up. Okay, they've been using these. They are made up and dressed up, and they're like, "What are you going to do with those?" So anyway, little story there. Makeup sponges from Nordstrom's are the best I have found for final cleanup. Suppose I should tag them in a post. What else can you do with these? Let's see what we got going here. How do we look? Yeah, it looks pretty good. I never know. You know, I've made way more than 20,000 mugs, and still it's a surprise to me when I always look. I was doing a workshop one time where I was making a two-piece pot, and it wasn't going to get done in time. And so normally if they're really bad, like, because you got to hurry at workshops sometimes, I'll cut them in. I'll smash them. Okay. And so I told the people that I wasn't going to be able to leave it as an example because it just wasn't going to get finished enough. And this guy, there's always kind of one of them guys, and he's one of those guys. He's like, cut it in half. And all I could think is, oh man. So, you know, what are you going to do? So I cut it in half, and I was scared to look. And a friend of mine was at the back of the room. He was actually taking some pictures and stuff of the whole situation, the whole workshop. And I just looked at him because he knew I was scared. And he just goes, and that was a good feeling. It it was perfect. It was really good. I didn't tell that story to tell you like it was perfect. I told you that story because I want you to realize I'm just a potter too, and I'm worried about whether or not these are right. And the only way to know is to cut them in half. So you got to do it from time to time. I don't normally cut a 36-inch piece in half to see if it's right, but I did there and paid off. It was good. And it was perfect. It was perfect. It's actually, I use it a lot actually in my, I don't know, would you call it promotional stuff? Where it's like they want to hit a shot of you. And because it was just a beautiful serendipitous moment when it was pulled away and there was a picture taken of it. And they actually took the piece, fired it, and bolted it to the wall. It's at Natchez Clay down in Natchez, Mississippi. All right, so sometimes if you got a little more clay than you want down here, you can actually push out first and then push in, and that will thin it just a hair. And then you can come right up. A little water on the inside. I'm going to push out at the bottom. That thins that, puts it in the right spot for me. Scrum across the top and make those lines. See if I can get it in one pull. Come on. Come on. Right there. I got a little bit of lines I'm going to have to go back and clean up, but that was pretty close. Shorted myself a hair there too. You get my drag. And just a little bit. It looks a little different. It's a little bit fuller. Can we say fuller? Is it fuller than the others? I don't put, I know there's people that will use a scribe, a stick in here to throw to. I don't know why I don't do that, other than I don't want to do that. I'll just make enough mugs. I'll get a set eventually. Make 100 mugs. You might get 2 or 3 that are the same. And if they aren't the same size 10 years later, I'm sorry, but I'm a different guy 10 years later. Yeah, that one's a little bit. That's a fuller mug. Still not. I haven't lost it to the outside on that one. Okay, I still like this form. This is okay. It's not dead on with the other two. As much as the other two were the same, they probably had their differences as well. But still looking pretty decent. You guys getting the feel of this? This whole, the push in and push out at the bottom is probably the thing that I'm thinking most people are going to see as the revelation out of this video more than anything. And it doesn't just, any of the smaller forms, 2-3 pounds, not 3 pounds usually, but up to a couple pounds, it still works pretty good to be able to kind of, manhandle's not the right word, but to kind of push the clay where it's going to go rather than ask it to come along, so to speak. And when you're dealing with these small amounts, you don't have a lot of weight over the top, and it works and allows you to be able to have that form, not have to trim. This literally has nothing trimmed away from it. I flip it over. I'll tag it real quick with a trimming tool just to get that little bit of the corner edge off of there. Hit it with my spoon, stamp it, and off it goes. So that is how that's done. That's my 2-finger handle. And if you, if you ever have any questions, you can fire them at me, and I'll be glad to try my best to answer them. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.